Fallout is the newest video game series to be adapted for television, with the first season having just debuted on Amazon Prime. We've had Twisted Metal, Halo, The Last of Us, and now this recently. How does it compare to these, then? With a compelling tale at its heart, it undoubtedly ranks in the upper echelons. Make that numerous storylines at the center, a thrilling twist at the conclusion, and characters you genuinely care about and support. Let's go right into this video and dissect everything that the program has to offer. The Fallout ending is explained here. There will be spoilers in this video, just so you know. An explanation of the conclusion, one line from the 6th episode of the show, directly influences how this one ends. The world is not going to end. Words that haunt. And the fact that Vault-Tec was counting on a conflict starting and the nation becoming the target of nuclear attack is the only thing giving it hope for success. Something that was evident from the very beginning of the first episode. Although Moldova was initially portrayed as the antagonist in this situation, it eventually came to light that she was really the resistance and that she was aware of the things that Vault-Tec was keeping hidden. She was a leader of Hollywood Forever, an organization that appeared ready to blow up Vault-Tec before the bomb was delivered. And she was several hundred years old, just like Coop. She wanted Wilzig's skull because he had cold fusion inside of him, but she was now under the new California Republic. She could inject limitless energy into the city, which had largely served as a wasteland for the last few centuries, thanks to her access to cold fusion, implying that circumstances for the survivors above Earth might alter. They would emerge from the Dark Ages and accelerate towards the following stage of civilization. She wanted Lucy's father, Hank, as a hostage for this reason alone, because a dependable Vault-Tec employee was the only person who could have previously activated cold fusion. Since Hank was only Barb's assistant during the flashbacks, he had to have quickly ascended the corporate ladder in order to obtain access to the secret codes. Additionally, the conclusion revealed that Hank was the only one accountable for the devastation on Shady Sands. Lucy's mother and Rose, Hank's spouse, learned the truth about Hank's past, including the fact that he was not born in the vault as he claimed to be and that he was associated with Vault-Tec. She desired to live above Earth, so after making that discovery, she brought Lucy and her brother Norm. This implied that the sun Lucy claimed to have felt on her skin as a child, and which she mistakenly believed to be inside the vault, was, in fact, her real son, battering her. When Rose refused to return to the vault, Hank detonated a bomb on Shady Sands, resulting in the destruction of the city. The concept that Vault-Tec had to exterminate everyone above ground and create their own ideal population that they could control could go forward, even though all 30,000 or so of its citizens were affected. After learning this, Lucy turned against her father and came to the conclusion that all she had ever known had been a lie. In all of this, the adversaries were Vault-Tec. They had to market their merchandise, so they dropped the first bombs. The stakeholders were essentially free to play God with the people who were within the more than 100 vaults located across the nation. Because each vault was effectively an experiment. This explains why Vault 4 was so different from Vault 33. Aside from Vault 31, which held the frozen corpses of Vault-Tec's key figures in their pods until it was safe for them to surface again. The most potent weapons were time and management. Thus, it was essential to preserve the thoughts of those who organized and participated in the entire process in order to allow the planet to survive and eventually transform it into the world they desired. To them, none of the other vaults held any significance. They basically used the humans as lab rats and as a means of generating revenue. In the episode's finale, Coop asked Hank where his family was, seeing him for the first time in hundreds of years. This revealed to us that Barb and Janie had survived the intended calamity 200 years before. It does raise the question of whether Barb is, in fact, the person Hank was thinking of towards the end. Recall that she was the one who initially proposed dropping the bomb on the States, giving the impression that they were the target of an act of war. Could Barb be in New Vegas when Hank arrives at the end of the season? I suppose we'll simply have to wait till Season 2 to find out about it. To be honest, I think she might be. She might be the same person driving the vehicle that Coop indicated. That would be unexpected. Norm's trip, the main focus of Norm's journey, was a growth-filled redemption story. He was a person who had no interest in anything related to life in the vault. He had no motivation, was not content, and had no interest in life before the surface dwellers invaded. When the people he cared about were being slain, he actually cowered and hid. For an extended period, this burdened him greatly, to the extent that when Chet was asked to relocate to Vault 32, he labeled him a coward for not taking action in response to what they both witnessed, the people who were chopped up and killed there. Norm was deeply committed to changing the situation and discovering the truth about what was happening with Vaults 31, 32, and 33 because of this. The only thing about Norm's interest that we could discover was his interest in computers, and that's how he managed to breach the computer of the overseer of Vault 33, connect with the overseer of Vault 31, and set up a rendezvous. He saw his entire life had been a deception and pointless after he entered Vault 31 and saw the pods that held the people who had been frozen from 200 years ago. He was merely a test subject for some suit that wanted to pretend to be God. But now he was the antithesis of the coward he had been in the first episode, confined as he was inside Vault 31, and perhaps having to enter his father's pods in order to survive for that long. When we saw him for the first time, he had changed considerably. However, I'm curious as to what this implies for the character. To survive, he's going to need to enter one of these pods. Does that imply that he won't be returning for the upcoming season and will only make a reappearance for Vault 31? Perhaps. Lucy's transformation, this show's primary character, Lucy, has a journey that, in my opinion, is best explained by what Willisig said to her in the second episode. "Will you want the same thing when you're an entirely different animal?" he said. She heard this the first night she spent in the wasteland, when she was still a child and had no idea how to live outside of a vault. She was exceedingly courteous, had never killed anyone, and lived by the golden rule. She was therefore almost foreign to the society and the lawless territory she had found herself in when she encountered those from the surface. She killed, flung acid at someone, and eventually killed her own mother during the course of the episode after discovering that she was the ghoul that had practically converted and was sitting on the table next to Moldava. However, given that she knew the Brotherhood would kill her mother when they arrived, I believe she acted out of mercy. Lucy went to go and save her father since she loved him. To save him, she threw herself into the unknown, but it was all in vain. Her whole life was a lie, and now that she was on the surface and had experienced everything, including falling in love, seeing a different vault, considering Vault 4 to be an odd location, and growing more and more of a surface dweller, she was no longer the same animal and had new desires. That's the reason she left with Coop at the very end, determined to find the person responsible for the chaos they were witnessing. It was a fantastic method for the characters to grow to see them together in the conclusion, having previously witnessed the nature of their connection. I felt it was a terrific way for them to go in, that is, she was more like Coop than she was her father. Maximus reached his objective, having become a knight in the Brotherhood was Maximus' childhood dream. We saw that after the bomb was thrown on Shady Sands, one saved him, and ever since then, he has aspired to become the hero who was in front of him. He found a home with the Brotherhood. But after meeting Lucy, learning about life inside a vault, and discovering that there is a place that doesn't include destruction and death, he desired that. But just as Max was about to wake up from Lucy's father's knockout, the Brotherhood entered the room, and Dane declared that he had killed Moldava, the leader. This gave rise to everyone praising him as Knight Maximus, a title he had always desired. But now that he was older, his priorities had shifted. Like everyone else, he too desired to rule the wasteland. But he saw the Brotherhood for what it was, an order ruled with an iron grip. Quintus' declaration to him that he wished to control the surface demonstrated this to us. The Brotherhood appears to be going to use their newfound ability to control cold fusion and the city's energy supply to their advantage and exert pressure on the local population. In other words, they appear to have more power than they ever could have believed. My thoughts on the program Fallout's first season was excellent, in my opinion. It surprised me with how excellent it was. It seemed like this was going to be something good after the opening scene, especially with the manner the bombs were dropped. I was immediately drawn to that. Everything that was required and desired to make it convincing and compelling was accomplished, from the writing to the set design to the makeup to the acting to the character delivery. Coob was undoubtedly my favorite character in the series. I had a great time flipping back and forth between the eras, witnessing the breakdown of his relationship while also learning about the status of the globe in those years. Seeing all of that also made it possible for us to understand why he had certain characteristics and behaved the way he did in the present. Through the eyes and ears of the person he loved the most in the world, he personally witnessed the end of the world. I adored how multifaceted and conflicted his character was. In addition, he was a complete badass, and it was hilarious to watch his haughtiness. The music selection for the background scenes was another aspect of this show that I adored. They all seemed to be from the 1930s and 1950s, which helped to create the post-war and wartime atmosphere that the show was attempting to establish, despite being almost 300 years later and not taking place in the same era. The song's meaning, message, and sound design gave everything we were viewing a menacing yet fitting backdrop. In spite of the date and scheduling changes, I believe Amazon nearly got it perfect. And it seems like the program's second season is dropping all at once for the first time in a long time. The weekly release of the episodes is the one thing I wish they had done differently. That desire for more, in my opinion, would have really benefited it. However, it cannot be reversed. I suppose we'll simply have to wait and see how the program performs before confirming a second season. But I have no doubt that one will come eventually. That's the explanation of Fallout's finale. I appreciate your attention as usual, and I hope to see you in the next video.